Welcome to the product demonstration of CellDe Smart Transfer. CellDe Smart Transfer is a seamless data transfer solution that allows you to move your data from your old mobile device to your new one without the need for data cables or complicated setups. With CellDe Smart Transfer, you are in complete control of the data you wish to transfer and the permissions you choose to grant. The application does not transmit or store any of your personal information outside your mobile phone. Instead, it uses a secure peer-to-peer connection between your devices, ensuring that all data transmission happens only between the two authenticated devices. In this video, we'll walk through 3 different scenarios to demonstrate how the app uses permissions and how you remain fully in control over what data the application accesses based on the permissions you provide. If you choose to deny certain permissions, such as read SMS or read call logs, the app will simply skip transferring those data types and continue with the rest. This ensures that only the data you explicitly authorize is transferred. Importantly, you can independently control permissions on both the source and destination devices, giving you granular control over your entire transfer experience. Without further ado, let's dive into the first use case. In this scenario, we'll see what happens when certain sensitive permissions, such as read SMS or read call logs, are denied. The application will disable the transfer of these specific data types for the session and proceed to transfer only the items for which permissions have been explicitly granted. Let's take a look through a quick video demonstration.
We are now on the main screen of the application, where you are prompted to accept our terms of service and privacy policy. Upon accepting, the user is presented with a list of all the permissions required for the app to access device storage, camera, location, and nearby devices. Each permission is accompanied by a clear explanation on the screen to help the user understand why it is needed. At this stage, no sensitive permissions such as read SMS or read call logs are requested, giving the user an opportunity to fully understand how the application works before proceeding. After reading through the permissions and justifications, the user can click Continue. The application will then request the necessary permissions to proceed to the next step, starting with camera permissions, followed by permissions for location, nearby devices, and finally, all files access.
Now the source device is ready, and we need to prepare our destination device to be ready to accept the incoming data. We need to agree to the terms of service and privacy policy on the destination device and provide the same permissions that we just provided on the source device.
User then clicks on the Scan button on the source device and scans the QR code that is shown on the Smart Suite application on the computer. These QR codes need to be scanned separately on the source and destination devices. This is used to get smart transfer applications authorized to perform a data transfer.
After scanning the QR codes, the user selects the platform on each device so that application can initialize and be ready to connect both devices.
Once selected, the destination device shows a QR code that the user needs to scan on the source device to initiate a secure peer-to-peer connection between the devices. After scanning the QR code, the user needs to authorize the connection between the devices. Upon authorization, both devices are connected.
Now, the application shows the next set of permissions that would be needed to transfer different types of data items on the source device. The screen lists all the permissions and a clear explanation for why each permission is needed. The user at this point has the opportunity to understand and decide what data points they want to transfer and which permissions they need to grant to move those data points. The user has full control and freedom to deny any permissions that they are not comfortable with.
As we will see shortly, if the user denies certain permissions, those data points are disabled automatically, meaning that the app will not access that data, and those data points will not be transferred. For example, SMS and call logs. As we can see now, the user had denied the contacts, calendar, messages, and call logs permissions. So these options are disabled and not available for data transfer, giving the user complete control over what data parts the application has access to. And the application is able to seamlessly transfer other data like music and documents.
So, to conclude, with CellDe Smart Transfer, you have complete control over what data the application is able to access. Even the data that application is able to access never leaves your devices, and the devices that you own talk to each other to transfer the data amongst themselves.
Now let's look at the second scenario, where the user denies the right permissions on the destination device for call logs and SMS. These permissions are needed on the destination device to restore the call logs and SMS messages properly.
The initial steps are similar to what we saw in Scenario 1 in terms of connecting the devices. Once connected, the user grants all the permissions on the source device, and as a result, the user is able to select all kinds of data like call logs, calendar, music, documents, and SMS, etc., to be transferred to the destination device. However, on the destination device, when the CellDe Smart Transfer application tries to organize the data after receiving the data, the user skips the sensitive permissions. As a result of this, the application only restores those data items for which the user had granted the permissions, and sensitive data like call logs and SMS are not restored. With CellDe's Smart Transfer application, user always has full control over what data the application is able to access and transfer data between their devices securely, with full control over their privacy.
Finally, we move to the third scenario, where the user grants all the permissions on both devices.
The basic permissions like storage, camera, location, and nearby devices are granted as usual. And the user follows the connectivity procedure just like the previous scenarios. The user grants both read SMS and read call logs permissions on the source device. and then the user selects music, documents, calendar, contacts, messages, and call logs to be transferred to the destination device, and the application starts the data transfer as usual.
On the destination device, user grants all the sensitive permissions which are needed to restore the SMS and call logs, and as a result, all the data is successfully moved to the destination device.
Also, note that the application only asks for the sensitive permissions when needed and wouldn't even ask for the sensitive permissions like write SMS and write call logs if the call logs or SMS data was not sent from the source device. Also, in order for the application to be able to restore the SMS and call logs, the application needs permissions to make and manage phone calls and send and view SMS messages. These permissions are needed to be able to restore the call logs and SMS messages on the destination device and are only asked on the destination device.
The application temporarily becomes the default SMS app in order to be able to write the SMS messages received from the source device to the destination device storage. Upon completion, the user sees a call to action on the Transfer Complete screen to revert back to their default messaging app.
That concludes our demonstration of all three scenarios showcasing how CellDe Smart Transfer uses permissions with transparency and user control. Thank you for watching. We hope this gave you clarity and confidence in using our app. Until next time, take care.